You cannot minimize when you are recording. Okay, I have no intentions on minimizing, but I do want to pull up on the screen what it is that we're talking about today. If I'm moving around a lot, it's because I am super duper excited. So you might see me look down, you might see me look here, you might see me look there, and it is because I have 3 cameras that are going on right now. So we only got about an hour. And I want to make sure that we get in this hour everything out of this hour. I am Tiawan Pinkney. I am your teacher, your trainer, your mentor, your coach. Whoever I need to be for you to be successful is who I am going to be. Today, I'm going to be your accountability partner. That's what I'm going to be for you today, because whether you are a tenured leader, whether you are a new leader, whether you are considering jumping into leadership, whatever the case may be, it's real important that we share this information. There is something here for everybody, and I want to make sure that you get it. So a little bit about me. I've worked for multiple Fortune 500 companies in the leadership capacity. I've done everything. I've done service. I've done operations. I've done sales. I've done HR. I've done risk management. I've done environmental health and safety. I've done assets protection. I've done loss prevention. I'm real big in the talent development sphere. I've been in project management. I would say a lot of what I've done has had to do with project management. But what do I do now? So let me take you here. I've also been an entrepreneur where I've owned multiple companies that did really well. One of the more recent companies prior to shutdown, I owned a gym for 10 years. That was really fun. It went really well. Pretty successful. 10 years is a long time. The shutdown, nobody could have ever thought that would happen. But then what do? As a leader, you pivot. And so I pivoted and I own now, iPinkTime Digital Media Productions, where I kind of embody all of my stuff. I put all of my stuff in there, whether it's me working with different leaders, training, development, and see, I have the media aspect as a tool that I can use to help people to grow their business, because at the end of the day, you've got to get out there. You've got to get in front of people. You can't just sit in the office and think that, hey, if I build it, they're going to come. Yeah, if you build it, they're going to come, but if they don't know where you are, how are they going to get there? Because you didn't give them directions. All right, cool. Guess what? That's some accountability for you right there. Get up, out, get what, like they said back in the old days, get up off your shoulders and get up out there. So that's me. Training and development is my gift. So when I was in leadership, I was known for taking bottom performing markets, bottom performing people, especially if they had the potential, and take them to the next level, and then another level, and then another level. And that is something that I'm very good at. I am passionate about helping others succeed. I'm very passionate about helping others succeed and achieve their goals. Sometimes though, you got to help people to find out what their goal is. Now, what is in this for me? Why am I doing this for you? Why is it currently for free? I am building a circle of winners. That's what's in it for me. I am building a circle for winners. So a circle of winners. So I definitely do get something out of this. Don't think that I'm just here and I don't get anything out of it. I definitely get something out of it, especially with everything that I'm doing here. I am just nice and shiny, because it is warm in here, and that is even with the air on. All right, so let's step back. Here's something from a developmental standpoint for me, a challenge that I had to be accountable for when I was actually coming up through corporate America. And it is something that when I jumped out into entrepreneurship, early on when I jumped out into entrepreneurship, I didn't have it. But when I went through that period of development to get to a certain place, and then I had it, then I had to adjust. And that was being accountable for finding balance in my life. Not trying to be a robot, not trying to be everything for the company, not trying to be, everything because I'm so ambitious. I do everything that I can. I work outrageous hours. You know what I mean? Anybody needs my help, I'm there, all types of things, not knowing when to say no. Listen, that number one, that could kill you. Because you could overwork yourself to the point. There was one time where I had been working so much that I came home one time and I fell asleep and I didn't wake up for like 2 days. Like my wife thought that I was dead. So I was dead. I slept and it wasn't like I crawled up in the bed. It wasn't that. I literally sat down and I just laid back. And I don't know, it was something like I think I did that like on a Thursday, and I slept all the rest of Thursday, slept all through Friday, and woke up on a Saturday, like early Saturday. It was crazy. My wife said she kept checking to see if I was still breathing, and I was still breathing. I didn't remember moving. I didn't remember anything. I just remember being exhausted, sitting down, and then waking up that next day, that Saturday. So, yeah, it was really, really crazy. Listen, what are some of the program goals? Number 1, level up your career. Number 2, gain valuable insights. Number 3, improve as a leader. Number 4, prepare for seamless leadership transition. Number 5, develop confidence to lead. Number 6, identify your leadership style. Number 7, shape the leader you'll become. And number 8, learn truth about diverse leadership styles. Those are the program goals today. Here's what we're going to do. The last session, I talked about the good leaders, the bad but skilled leaders, and the bad but unskilled leaders. So what are the subcategories? As I mentioned before, good leaders, bad but skilled leaders, and bad but unskilled leaders. So if you see me starting to sweat, it's because it is really hot. Really hot. Didn't know it was going to be this hot in here. That's a brand new air conditioner. But we're going to fight through it because leaders prevail. So, understanding others. Good leaders. They connect with people and they understand beyond the surface. So, one of the things that I learned coming up, I had a great mentor. She was amazing. Her family put her in leadership training when she had, I don't know, probably like 9 years old. So she spent her entire life and all of these different things. She was an athlete too. She went to college. She did all these great things, but she was working and she was developing to become a leader. So by the time she got up, her understanding of leadership at the age of 23 was crazy. So when I met her, she was a little bit older at the time. She was in her 30s when I met her, and that was when she actually became my boss. But she didn't take the role of being my boss. Instead, she took the role of being my mentor because she saw my potential. And here I am in my 20s. She taught me how to not take things for face value, how to read in between the lines, how to understand beyond what's at the surface level because there's so many other things that are going on. A lot of times as leaders, we don't understand the ripple effects of decisions that we make. At the same time, though, as a leader, sometimes you need to be able to see the ripple effects of the decisions that your direct reports are making. And one of the ways that you do that is you got to stay tapped in. You got to connect with people. You've got to talk to them. Allow them the opportunity to be transparent with you. At the same time, you have, within certain parameters, of course, because you don't want to be crazy, because they look at you as a person who is a leader. You want your people to be out there where they're willing to die for you. They're willing to do everything for you because they know how committed you are to them. But in order to establish that relationship, you've got to connect with people. You've absolutely got to connect with people. So connect with people and understand beyond the surface level, right? But the bad but skilled, that's the good leader. The bad but skilled leader, they tend to be detrimental thinkers and they rely on their distorted thoughts, okay? Their impressions and their generalizations when interpreting others. And that's not good. Have you ever came across a leader who maybe they make inferences, maybe they don't have all the information, right? So instead of them asking questions, seeking clarity, asking clarifying questions, paraphrasing things because maybe someone said something and they didn't get it, rather than them assuming, rather than them drawing from their own distorted way of thinking, instead, what do? They make assumptions. They make generalizations. They have this impression of how things are when in reality they are not that way. That leader may have the skill to execute, may even have the skill to lead people along the lines of where you're trying to go. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it efficiently. They may not actually do it efficiently. Instead, they may end up doing it in a way where it's actually detrimental, or it's an entire rocky pathway there. But it's not meant to be that way. Instead, it's meant to be seamless. Instead, it's meant to be something that everyone can navigate through, learn from, gain from, accomplish the goal, improve the business. But because of the way they interpret others, the way they interpret situations, and the way they interpret circumstances, they do so in a way where it puts people on a path that's not the best path for the business. Now look, that is the bad but skilled leader. The bad but unskilled leader, they rely on stereotypes. Not only do they rely on stereotypes, they may be the person who creates the stereotype or who sort of propels this stereotype amongst the rest of the staff or the rest of the team. It's something that they pulled out of God knows where, who knows where, and they use that stereotype as sort of their way or their foundation of thought as it relates to interpreting others or a situation or circumstance. They rush to judgment. They don't even care about the rest of the facts. They don't want to hear the rest of the facts. They've already gotten there. They have the answer. You can't tell them anything. They lack the relatability to people, so they can't connect to people so that they can get the clarifying information, so that they can ask questions. Sometimes that could come off as a person who is not approachable. As a leader, the last thing you want to be is unapproachable. That's the last thing you want to be. The other thing is when it comes to motivating people, first off, they themselves lack the motivation for them to step outside of that comfort zone or to step outside of that place where they make the stereotypes, they bicker, they backbite. You know what I mean? They're the people who are doing a lot of the gossip. A lot of times those leaders are leading the gossip. They're creating the topics for gossiping with the staff, or with other people that you work with who walk away. Now, those people, they may be the good leaders, or they may even be the bad but skilled leaders, and they can be cancerous. I wouldn't so much say the good leaders. The good leaders are going to sit back and they're going to process this and say, I don't know if that's the right way of thinking. I'm going to talk to so-and-so because I think that there's more to this, and maybe they're a little off or they're all the way off. But either way, they're not going to go share that information and spread some information that is not consistent with the goal. It's not consistent with the type of leadership that has been established for the brand. You don't want to be that type of leader. And those are typically the type of leaders for me as a CEO. I'm going to run them up out of my business because they can be toxic to my business. And that toxicity can spread like cancer amongst the people at different levels. And I want to maintain a very positive work environment, the kind of work environment where people feel safe. They love to come to work. They have fun. It's almost like a family. So one of the things that I've always sort of built is, you know, you have this, and I even preach this, right? Your work family. So if you're at work for 8 hours and you go home for 8 hours and then you sleep for 8 hours, well, I mean, hopefully you're spending as much quality time in the 8 hours that you're awake with family, if you're getting 8 hours of sleep, as you would when you're at work. Because at the end of the day, what's most important is that time with family. Sure, the work is very important. I want everybody to feel like, hey, when you come to work for me, it is important. Your job is important. You are important. At the same time, though, I've never been a leader to say, hey, no, you can't take this time off. No, you can't do that. What I typically have done in the past is I'll tell people, you know what? Go talk to your peers. See who's willing to work it out for you. Once you get it all worked out, you let me know. That's it. Let me know. You know, because long as everything is covered and we're firing on all cylinders all the time, I am happy. We are winning, and you get to go spend time with your family. The only other thing I say is pay it forward. So don't be that person who comes back and says, nah, you're not going to do it for somebody else when they did it for you. Even if it's on a day or during a time where, hey, they may want to take time off on a day where you want to take time off. Well, keep in mind, that time that you asked for them was also a time when you wanted to take off. So that's kind of how I approach a lot of my people. So what's our next topic? Because that first topic we were talking about was understanding others, and I threw some nuggets in there that I hope that you will take a look at, think about, replay it. I'll make this video or this training available too. I'll add the actual link to where you can go back, because I know I'm talking fast. It's because we have a very little bit of time and we have a lot of information to cover. So taking things personal. Taking things personal. Again, the bad but unskilled leader, what do? They blame. They play the victim. They cling to false judgments. They're very closed-minded and they're resentful. Do you know anybody like that? Do you know anybody who they will literally take the time to find someone to point the finger at? Think about this though. A lot of that is coming from a place of distorted thinking. I've always been intrigued by how these people make it to the next level. There was a transportation manager that worked for me one time. You know, we got all these shipments and things like that going. And so I come into the building and I talk to the guy because we had, there was an accident where one of our trailers or a truck, was on the freeway. It flipped over. It was involving the wind. It was very windy, all types of stuff, right? And we're talking like over $5 million in merchandise and stuff inside of this trailer. But there were so many chemicals. All of this, literally everything was damaged. There was nothing that we could salvage. We had to get rid of everything. And so for him, he had never even gone out there. So then when I come in, soon as I walk in the door to sort of get a status from him, I mean, he takes off and, why aren't you out there? You're supposed to be out there and this, that, or the other. Now imagine you walk in and one of your subordinates start talking to you this way. Here's the deal. It was an eye-opener for me because I realized that at no point did he ever turn around to see who he was talking to. And then when he finally turned around, he realized he was not talking to one of his subordinates. That was an eye-opener for me. Now, I inherited this individual, but at the same time, I had never known that this is how he was managing and interacting with or engaging with the rest of his staff. Right away, it was an opportunity for me to pull him aside and have a discussion with him with regards to how he was addressing the team. And so for him, he felt like every single day he came in, everyone was attacking him. But then I got to thinking about it and I asked him, who is attacking you? Are your subordinates attacking you? Are other leaders attacking you? Am I attacking you? Because I let you lead. I don't attack you. Who's attacking you, right? Nobody was attacking him. His personal issues, everything outside, was causing him to come into the business and to behave this way. Regardless of how his upbringing was, regardless of how he navigated through his everyday life, that should never have an impact on how things are going here. So because you're having relationship issues, those relationship issues at no point should affect your relationship issues with your staff, but they were. Because you're having issues with your finances should not have an impact on how you're interacting with the people here, because at the end of the day, here you always receive your direct deposit on time. How you manage that is on you. It's no one else's fault. So you don't have the privilege. You don't have the authority. You should never ever come to work and speak to your subordinates in this fashion. And so that was something that I had to rectify. But how he was interacting, how he was behaving, everything was all being created by something else on the outside. But he was bringing that in. This guy, he fell into the unskilled leader part when I asked in this situation. This was an emergency situation because keep in mind, there were literally, so you have the tractor, you have the trailer. There were people in that tractor, which would be the rig part where you see people driving the actual truck. There were people in that vehicle who were injured when it flipped over. So when I finally got to town and I got there, literally I'm hitting that place and I'm headed to the other place because I don't know where to go. I have no other choice but to hit this place before I go there. I hit this place, hop in the vehicle, let's roll, and this is what I encounter. And why are you not out here? This happened however long ago. You should have been there. Do you have an update on the status? Okay. If in this situation, after you've been doing this job for 20 plus years, you're telling me that you don't know how to manage this, and I know he knew how to manage it because he had encountered these types of things within that 20 plus years before. He had worked at multiple locations throughout the country, and he had experienced this and he knew what to do. But all of these issues he allowed all of those issues to determine how he would move. And in that, you're putting people's lives on the line. And for me, that was absolutely not okay. And so at that point, I had to move him from the bad but skilled to the bad but unskilled. Now, there are others that I can talk about. That one sticks out to me because it was just a huge, huge incident. Okay. Bad but skilled leader. Hypercritical. Unresponsive to reason. Over-controlling. Misreads people and circumstances. It's not so much that they're not going to go get the information. They will get the information. But the thing is they may get the information, but they may also take the approach of, well, I know all this. I don't need anyone to tell me. I already know what to do. Those types of leaders scare me because sometimes what you think you know to do is not what to do. Sometimes you have to take a different approach. Some situations and some individuals require you to communicate with them, to approach them in a different way. This whole football player, old school football coach idea where you address everybody the same way all the time, that is absolutely not a good way of dealing with people whatsoever. I wouldn't recommend it. I've had other individuals, I've had subordinates, I've even had athletes that I've coached come up and say, hey coach, when you do this or when you address me that way, it doesn't work for me, coach. It doesn't work for me. And rightfully so, right? And rightfully so. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. And listen, the whole hypercritical thing, I've been side by side with leaders where we're in meetings, and the vast majority of us, we see a certain situation or circumstance. We see a certain situation or circumstance very different than this one particular leader sees it. They're extremely critical of the team. They're extremely critical of the process. They're extremely critical of everything that's going on. And they tend to blow things a little bit out of proportion. And it's like, wait a minute, that is not what's going on. They want to control every single aspect of a process. And you're going to do it this way. What is the point of recruiting someone if you're not going to trust them to deliver? Allow them to be creative. I am not saying break the process. If the best practice is this, a lot of research, a lot of manpower, a lot of time has gone into establishing that process, testing that process, making sure that that process is on point, it works, and it's consistent when you execute it every time. I am not saying to tell them to go in and break the process. What I'm saying is allow them the opportunity to be creative. If for them, it's better to work within that process, but to move from left to right versus moving right to left, if the process is still the same and it's not broken, do it. If you feel that you move faster this way because that's the direction of your golf swing, I am okay with that. Switch sides. Move it a whole lot faster. Whatever it is that you got to do, let them do it. Let them be creative. If they come to you with new ideas, listen. Don't say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You just got here. Why don't you go work a little? Give me about 18 months and you go work and then you come back and you tell me something. You don't know what you're talking about. Wait a minute, that person has came to you with great ideas. Did you even look at their history? Did you look at their past? Did you look at their work history to find out where they came from? They may have came from one of our competitors who is a lot higher than we are. And they're coming to show you, okay, guess what? This is how they do it over here. And this is how they're able to be so fast. Or here's how they're able to do this or able to do that. If you don't ever give them a chance, how will you know? You won't know. So, what I would tell you is, don't be that kind of leader. Be open-minded. Listen. Instead of trying to read people, allow people to speak. Allow people to talk. Get to know people. Find out who they are. Find out what they stand for. Okay? Everybody stands on something. Find out what it is that they stand on. Alright? The good leader is open to criticism. They're receptive. They gain insight from feedback. And they analyze perceptions for truth. I was in a situation where I was given some feedback. I think I talked about this on the first session. I was in a situation where I was training with a company and I was getting all types of negative feedback. All types of negative feedback. And here's why. In the training, I was never prepped for the training on where I was going to be. So when I come in there, I come from a higher level position, 197 stores. I'm in leadership. I've got these different areas, multiple states, all types of stuff, right? But I'm in there with individuals who some of them are hourly and some of them are exempt, but none of them have led on the level that I've led. So when I speak to the trainer, here's the crazy part. None of the trainers have led on the level that I had led. So as I'm asking questions, they can't answer my questions. So they felt like I was intimidating everybody. And that was the communication that I was getting. They felt like I was not smiling enough. And it wasn't so much that I wasn't smiling enough. A lot of the stuff that they were saying was very, very elementary for me. I was excited to be there. I was excited to learn. It's just that this was stuff that I had learned many, many years ago when I was younger. I totally understand it. At the same time, though, I understand it from this level all the way down. So when I'm asking questions, I'm asking very high level questions that I'm looking at things from 30,000 square feet. They're not there. So these people literally told me to go find a new company to work for. However, the people at the higher level, they actually stopped me in the hall. One of the vice presidents, he stopped me in the hall. He loved me to death. He grabbed me in the headlock and he told me, hey, I hear all this feedback that you're getting, and here's what I'll tell you. And I'm going to tell you the same thing he told me, and I live by this. If somebody gives you feedback, you ask them, what did you do specifically? What was it that you said specifically that caused them to have that perception of you? I said, what is it that I did when I went back to talk to them? What did I do that gave you that perception of me? And he said, because you have an option. You can accept the feedback that they give you, or you can analyze it to determine if that is real, if it is true, if it is accurate. If you determine that it is inaccurate, that it is not true, it is not your problem, it is theirs. It is okay to offer them some clarifying insight. At the same time, if they don't want to hear it, then they're crackpots. That's on them. You don't have to own it. However, if it's real and you understand, you know what, there's a possibility that I could have gave them that perception, or, you know, maybe I can see how I gave you that perception. Let me offer you some insight into why you might have that perception. Or if it's legit, I gave you that perception, I was a nutcase, I don't know what it was I was thinking, I accept it, right? You make the determination, but you don't just walk away after somebody gives you feedback. You process the feedback, because silence is acceptance. If you walk away after they deposit that, they drop that feedback on you, then you're telling them, hey, you just accepted that criticism or that feedback. And it's okay to be open to criticism. Everybody's going to have their opinion. It doesn't mean that their opinion is right. It never means that their opinion is right. It just means that that is their opinion. That is their criticism. Now, criticism can be constructive. Criticism can tear you down. There's different types of criticism. Criticism can actually lead to a developmental opportunity that grows you outside of your comfort zone, or that grows you in the instance by giving you some insight that sort of educates you and makes you aware. So don't look at it from a negative standpoint, and be receptive. Be open to it. Sometimes ask for it. I am notorious for asking for feedback. Are you kidding me? As soon as I leave here, I'm going to go ask for feedback because this air conditioner is killing me in here. And this is brand new. So I'm going to ask for some feedback on choosing the best actual air conditioner. But it goes beyond that, because timing is everything. I wanted to get this one on, and I did it, you know. I probably could have waited to the middle of the night or in the early morning to do it, but I wanted to do it now because leaders need to hear this information. And I am not above reproach. Don't get it twisted. I am not above reproach. As a leader, I make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes all the time, and I own those mistakes. And I am going to tell you, you should own them as well. All right. So, moving on. If you need to take a break, go ahead, take a break. It is okay to take a break. I'm not going anywhere. I am right here. I am going to be right here. I got stuff to do, and it involves you. Yes, indeed. It involves me. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Okay, so we're not done, right? We're not done. We still got a whole lot to go here. Yes, we do. All right, so accountability. Because I didn't say this in the beginning, but I'm going to go over it right now because I want you to know, in the event that I did not say it, I did not discuss it, I want you to know accountability. Own your development. These are my bullet points. Own your development and support others. Very critical. Okay? Navigate complexities, drive innovation. I've got a list of bullet points regarding accountability that I'm going to leave you with, and I want to make sure that you get those. All right. But I want to jump real quick into personal leadership accountability. Okay. Personal leadership accountability. Ooh, it's hot in here. Personal leadership accountability. All right, here you go. The good leader. The good leader does not get into a hot building and sweats his shirt out on camera. I did that. Hey, we fight. Personal accountability. The good leader owns their actions. They own their actions. All right. I got there. The good leader owns their actions. They avoid blaming others and making up excuses. They admit to their mistakes. They learn from their mistakes and they rectify their mistakes. They set clear expectations for better accountability from others. Your direct reports, your peers laterally, and those above, right? They honor their commitments and they align their actions with their words, the promises that they make, the commitments that they make to others. They promote transparency and accountability through open communication. They learn from their mistakes. They improve their performance. They empower their team and they delegate authority and support. They lead by example and they demonstrate accountability. They recognize and reward accountability and they foster a culture of responsibility. Now, what about the bad but skilled leader? They neglect responsibility and they evade consequences. Okay, they neglect responsibility and evade consequences. They create a culture of fear and distrust. They avoid taking responsibility for their mistakes. They are quick to point the finger at others or make excuses. They'll make excuses. Yes, they will. Okay, they're unwilling to listen to feedback, even if it is constructive. They may make decisions without considering the input of their team or stakeholders. They may withhold information from their team or those same stakeholders. They may change their mind without giving anyone any warning. Imagine, oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you this is going to be funny, okay? It's on topic, but off topic. It's on topic in that I was playing football. We're literally in a championship game. I am back. I don't know if you know the kickoff, American football. I'm back to take the kickoff. I receive the ball. As I receive the ball, the play was for me to go one way. And sometimes, things change. The person in front of me, my lead blocker, he was supposed to throw the hand up to give direction on where we're supposed to go. He throws the hand up late. None of us see it. We go to the right, the short side of the field. He's the only person running to the left. As you would imagine, I was tackled like crazy because all of the rest of the team, what they did was they all turned and looked, saw him going that way. They shifted that way. Well, guess what? I'm already running. You need to keep blocking. Oh, I got pummeled. When you make that decision and make it timely and give people warning. Okay. The bad but skilled leader, they don't tend to do that. They create a sense of uncertainty and instability in the organization. They create a sense of uncertainty and instability in the organization. As I read through these, because I bullet pointed all of this, as I read through this, what I really want you to do is I want you to reflect upon leaders that you know, leaders that you've had, all right, that they fit into this bullet point, whether it's the one, all, a few, or whatever. And I want you to start assessing their good qualities and their bad qualities. Assess their good qualities and their bad qualities as it relates to their level of accountability as a leader. How accountable are they to themselves? How accountable are they to the direct reports? How accountable are they to their partners, to their peers? How accountable are they to your customers? Understand, who are your customers? Do you know who they are? Who are your customers? All right. So the bad but unskilled leader, they do not take responsibility for their actions or their decisions. They deflect blame. They deflect blame, make excuses, or simply ignore problems. Okay? Simply ignore problems. They may become defensive or dismissive when they receive feedback. They may also try to silence those who are giving them feedback. They make decisions without consulting others. That is bad. I don't like that one at all. Now, it depends on the type of leader, though. If that leader is someone that's been developed to make some quality decisions and see the business through the eyes of who their leaders are, or they've developed themselves as a leader who is respected, who is known for making great quality decisions. It's not to say that even the best of us makes a bad decision here and there. We all do. It happens. It is what you do when you've made a bad decision. Now, if you have a history of frequently making bad decisions, I will tell you, as the leader above them, it is my responsibility to remove them from leadership or to develop them or to do whatever I have to address the problem performances. At the same time, though, if there's someone who is allowed to remain in that position, then something else has to happen. Something else definitely has to happen. Okay? Let's see. They make decisions that are not in the best interest of the organization. They are not transparent about their actions. They'll even hide things. When they've made mistakes, they'll even go out of their way to hide the fact that they've made what could potentially be a very damaging and detrimental mistake. They may give false or misleading information to key stakeholders, to subordinates, to people where the information is very critical. They do not follow through on their commitments. They may make promises that they do not keep. Okay? They can create a toxic work environment. They can damage morale and ultimately lead to the failure of the organizations. Here's some things that I'll tell you. This is one of those things that I tell everyone from who's in leadership. Document everything. Address concerns with management and HR. Don't just be quiet and let things slide. Speak up. If you see something, say something. Build a support network. We call them your board of directors, a round table. People that support you at the various levels, preferably levels that are lateral and above you. The more you can get above you, that's the best thing. So, I'm going to give you my last few bullet points. I talked about these. I said I was going to leave you with some stuff. Here's the deal. Own your development, support others. You heard me say that earlier. Navigate complexities, drive innovation, seek feedback, deliver on promises. Accountable people take responsibility for their actions and their performance. They follow through on commitments, they treat others fairly and with integrity, and they protect confidential information. Be accountable for your work-life balance. Manage your commitments. Set boundaries. Prioritize your well-being. Okay? Prevent stress. Nurture relationships. And make sure you prioritize self-care. My name is Tiawan Pinkney. And I have just wrapped up this heated, incredibly hot first session on accountability. We have more to come. We have so much more to come as it relates to accountability. But I want to give you something to get you going and to get you started. Look forward to next time. I'm Ty. Take care. I am committed. I am absolutely committed.